Welcome to Crossroads Gentle Yoga and coming into a seated position on your mat. Really rooting down with your sits bones. Kind of rock a little bit and sort of really put your hands there and feel the base right kind of in the middle of your buttocks. You can kind of feel that bone. And once you've felt it, kind of spread your thumb a little bit and really feel planted. Have a sense of planting into, that's what we refer to sits bones, that's what we're talking about. So have a sense of planting into your bones, your sits bones. And if you prefer to lie down, feel free to do that. But if sitting is easy or possible, just cross your legs, close your eyes, and plant yourself. Feel yourself in your body a little bit more. Begin to deepen your breath. Broad, big breaths. By planting ourselves, being in our body and deepening our breaths, these are ways we can come into our ground, become rooted. See if there's an intention for you for coming here, for being in your yoga practice. What is my intention for being here? And maybe it's a word or a phrase. Let yourself repeat that in your mind over and over, like a mantra. And then bring your hands, if you're lying down, turn to your side and sit up, and coming into a cross-legged position. And if you're already in your cross-legged position, bring your hands to the front of your knees. Have a sense of pulling back with your hands and lengthening through the spine, dropping the shoulders. So you're almost using the hands kind of as leverage to press back while grounding with the shoulders. And then to start with, make small little circles. Pretend there's a paintbrush coming right out the top of your head, and you're going to make little circles on the ceiling. And then you're going to gradually, like a spiral, make the circles wider, rounder, bigger. So then you're going to begin to slowly make those circles large and slow, leaning forward and leaning to the side and coming back, letting your hands hold your knees, letting your breath be full, feeling the sensuousness of this. And do one more this way, as full a circle as your body longs for, wishes for, can do today. And then when you're finished with that circle, changing direction, big, wide circles, loosening up the hips, to the shoulders, the spine, big, full breaths. Let your head fall forward, your neck be soft. And then slowly beginning to make those circles smaller each round. Slowing down, tiny circles on the ceiling with the paintbrush at the top of your head. And then coming back into stillness. And pause and breathing here. And then clasp the hands together and bring them out front with the palms towards you, tucking the chin and rounding the shoulders, but keeping the spine long. pressing away, and then turning, and the palms go out with the hands still clasped. If this is too intense for your shoulders, then you can keep your hands apart and just bring them as far forward as you can. And then raising the hands above the head with the palms toward the ceiling. And if this is too intense for your shoulders, then you can bend the elbows, or you can keep the hands apart. And once again, pressing down with the sits bones, really feel into your buttocks. And then have a sense of a slight cat tilt at the lower back, and then lengthening through the spine. Full, deep breaths. And then the hands are pressed, the palms are pressed towards the ceiling, and then pressing them back a little bit more. Just kind of playing a little bit here at your edge and see. And then releasing the hands down to T. Feel the arms long, and then inhale, left hand comes to right knee and looking behind. Inhale, and then exhale, turning and twisting. Inhale back to center, exhale opposite side, and then following your own flow in the next moment or so. And then one more each side. And then coming back to center and pausing here for a moment. Letting your breath still be long. And then bringing that left ear to the left shoulder. Just allowing their length in that right shoulder, and bring both hands down beside the hips, palms on, excuse me, on the ground. And then if you wish, you can bring the left hand up and let the weight of it draw the head down a little bit more. Notice if you're tilting, and come back up straight if you are. Pressing down with the opposite hand that's still on the ground. Imagine your breath like a masseuse radiating down from underneath your ear all the way down the shoulder, the neck and the shoulder. And one more breath here. And then releasing, coming back to center, shifting to the opposite side. First bringing right ear to shoulder, pressing down with opposite hand. And then if you wish, inviting the right hand to rise up and be a weight. And then one more breath here. And then releasing, hand back. Sitting in cross-legged, hands down beside you on the hips. Shoulder blades coming together and dropping the shoulders, and then bringing the chin down towards the chest. And then draw the chin across the chest to the right shoulder, slowly taking your time. And then draw the chin down across the chest towards the center again, and then up on the opposite side. And in this way, slide the chin across, opening the back of the neck and the sides. You might hear little crinklies. That's okay. That's healthy. I'm just moving around in the neck. And if there's anywhere that calls you in the movement, maybe you want to pause and hold. And then one more each side. And coming back to center and pausing here with the chin on the chest. Feel the shoulder blades reaching for each other and dropping the shoulders long in the spine. And then slowly bringing the head back up. And bringing the feet out to standing, toes facing away and knees bent, shoulders to sky, and then dropping knees side to side, windshield wiping. When you're ready, coming back to center and pausing here, hands under thighs at knees and lengthen through spine. If you have tenderness in your lower back, maybe keeping feet down and just raising toes up. But if you're willing and able, raising feet up, maybe just a little bit, maybe a lot. Maybe bringing hands down beside legs. One more breath. And dropping feet back. I'm going to ask you to spend some time sorting through your foundation of this. So, with both legs bent and knees up to sky, invite the left leg to come up and cross the ankle just below the knee. Now, if that's too intense for your hips, then move towards straightening out that bottom leg. So just find the right, if it feels right, then you can bend that, bring hands down to support yourself, and then bend that right knee as much as feels so you can feel it, and then flex that left foot so that you can, and then kind of just adjust yourself so you're getting the intensity of the experience. Opening of the left hip. And then maybe the hip begins to open a little bit. You can walk the hands forward. Just kind of really seeing what fits for you. And then straightening the bottom leg out and bringing that foot back to standing. And then, of course, the other side, the opposite foot comes up and crosses over the ankle just below the knee, flexing that. And then finding just the right distance for you, just the right bend in that left leg, flexing the right foot, and then maybe walking towards the legs, pressing your torso forward. And then one more breath here. Drop the bottom leg and bring the foot bring it to standing. So you've got one leg that's straight, one leg that's bent with the foot on the outside of the leg standing. We're going to move into spinal twist. If your practice is to keep this lower leg tucked in, then feel free to add that now. Otherwise, clasp the outside of the knee and then clasp the shin with the opposite hand. And then, of course, this hand comes to the base of the spine and you lengthen. Really have a sense of the body being above the hips, the shoulders and hips being aligned before you begin to turn and twist. And then allow yourself to drop into the body a little bit more. Deepen the breath. One more breath. And then slowly turning back to center. And then, of course, we have the other side. So switching legs, adding that tucked under if that's your practice, setting up the foundation, pressing torso and thigh together, using back hand as a foundation, begin to slowly twist and look over the opposite shoulder. And then one more breath here. And slowly turning back to center, releasing the leg. Once again, bending the knees, and then windshield wiping side to side, opening up the hips and the lower back. And then you can come into stillness, or you can add a boat, clasping under the knees, raising legs off if you wish, maybe straightening them, maybe let arms come down beside the legs. And then releasing as you're ready. Moving on to hands and knees into your table position, as always, with hands under shoulders and knees under hips. Eyes cast down, and then begin to move into your cat and cow. Breathing in as you look up, and exhaling as you move into cat and curve the spine. One more each way. And then coming back, and we're going to add shoulders under. So we're going to add the right shoulder under, but first we're going to do some openings. So bringing the left hand in a little bit closer to the center, bringing your weight on that. The right arm rises up to sky in a twist. And then you're going to slide that arm through onto the shoulder, but you're going to just let that be a flow. So coming down with right ear towards the ground and then raising the right arm back up again. Inhaling. And then exhaling, arm comes through and ear comes towards the ground. And then inhale, rising up. And then two more in this way. And then final one, you're gonna let the weight come on the shoulder, let the weight come on the head. Palm is facing up to sky. The left hand can stay right beside your face, or you can walk it up towards the tip of your mat and then walk it over to the right side of your mat. If you moved your hand up to the edge of your mat, bringing the left hand back beside your face, and then rising back up to your table. And then we have the other side. Right hand comes in slightly towards the center, and left hand reaches up to sky, inhaling, and then exhaling, bringing the left hand through, and then following this flow, inhaling, left hand up to sky, and then coming through on the shoulder, and then two more in this way. And then on the very last one, drop onto that left shoulder, onto the head and the ear. And right hand can stay right beside your face, or you can walk it up towards the edge of your mat and then over towards the left side. And then that right hand comes back beside the face. And from here, we're going to move right into child pose, wide angled, bringing the toes together and the knees apart. Hips come back to heel. And if your forehead doesn't reach the earth, you can bring fists or a pillow, walking hands forward and coming into stillness here. And then walking over to the left as far as arms allow. And then backing off a little bit. Once more, resting your forehead on a pillow, a block, your hand, the floor. One more breath here, and walking back through center to the opposite side. One more breath. And then coming back to center and walking your way forward, coming onto your elbows, underneath the shoulders and clasping hands and coming up onto your plank, knees down or knees up. And then when you're ready, drop completely onto your belly, maybe with the hands up under your head, perhaps with forehead or turning onto one cheek, and let yourself settle, deepen into it's called crocodile, but into the pose. And then releasing the forehead to the earth and bringing the hands up, hands underneath the shoulders, forehead to earth, elbows in close to ribs, pressing down with the top of the feet and bringing the feet about hip distance apart. If there's any intensity in the lower back, widen your feet even more, because then there's less pressure on the lower back. And then to start with, just raising your head and shoulders with no weight on the hands, baby cobra. And then exhale, forehead back to earth. Inhale, rising up, no weight on the hands. Exhale, back to earth. This time we're going to move into Sphinx. So rising up and elbows come under shoulders and clasping the hands the way we did in our plank initially. Or flatten the hands down ahead of you and pressing up. Let your attention be tuned into the back, the lower back, the mid back, the upper back, rising up. Coming into stillness, being as still as a sphinx. And then one more breath and bringing the forehead back down. Hands can come under the shoulders, elbows in close to ribs, and then raising the lower legs, windshield wipe them side to side. And we're going to add one more asana here. So feet come down a little wider than hip distance, top of the feet pressed into the ground. Hands come down beside the hips, palms down, a little wider than your mat. Pressing in with your pubic bone, the hips, and then raise the shoulders and the head and add the arms, and then maybe adding the legs if that feels right. You can raise them off the earth. Inhaling, reaching, and then drop back down, tuning into the lower back. And if there's any intensity, maybe pausing here. But if all is well, rising again. Everything but the upper thighs and the pubic bone. And the belly is off. The belly's on the ground. Everything else is off the ground. And your limbs are reaching. Slight long lower upper back, slight long neck, slightly long neck. You're not pinching it. And holding for 3 more breaths right here. And then as you're ready, moving right up into traditional child's pose. So knees together, ankles together, pressing back, and then bring your forehead to the earth or to a pillow or to your fist. And hands come down beside the calves. And then one more breath. Coming up and back into your table and then moving into your downward dog. Hands forward. Feet are hip distance apart, of course. If there's any tenderness in the wrists, Bring the weight more into the palms than the base of the fingers. Walking the feet back and forth. Letting the upper arms roll toward each other. And then coming into stillness and pressing the hamstrings away. Sits bones up to the sky. And then you're going to bring the right leg in slightly, the right foot in slightly towards the center, and the left leg comes up to the sky. And then maybe the left heel drops towards the buttocks and you begin to roll open to the left, keeping the shoulders balanced. So you're balancing that paradox of the opening of the hips and the pressing of the shoulders so that they stay parallel with each other. And then swinging or walking that left foot forward between the hands, of course, more to the left foot comes down, and turning the right foot down at a 45. And then when you feel your foundation is solid and the hands are on either side of the front foot, then you're going to use your hands to rise up. So hands are on the left thigh. And then settle your legs, your foundation. It can be heel to heel. So your front heel's aligned with your left heel. Or you can wiggle your left foot over a little bit so it's more to the instep and just kind of feel solid on the ground. Front knee is over front ankle. And then raising arms up into Virabhadrasana 2. So looking back at your hand and having a sense of balance and wholeness. And then if you're leaning forward, kind of come back so your shoulders are over your hips. Pressing down with the outside of the right foot, the back foot, and feeling the corners of the front foot solid. Have a sense of engaging the thighs and being here in your warrior. Spiritual warrior. Grounded and rooted, open and flowing. And then exalted warrior, dropping the back hand down and top hand comes over the ear. Inhale. And then exhale, dropping that front forearm to the front leg, keeping the front knee right over the ankle. So you have a sense of the forearm landing just above the knee. And then the back arm slides up and along, palm facing away, shoulders stacked, and arm close to ear. And then we're going to make this movement into a flow. So rising back through your spiritual warrior 2 with the arms parallel, and then drop the back arm and raise the other arm up and over the ear in exalted warrior, and then drop that front arm to the thigh. Back arm comes across ear, palm facing away. And then flowing with this, inhaling exalted warrior. And then exhaling forward. And then one more each way. And then pausing here with the arm resting just above the knee over the ankle. And then dropping both hands on either side of the front left foot. And then bring that left foot back beside the right, so you're back in downward dog. And then this time you're going to bring the left foot in slightly towards the center, and the right leg comes up to the sky, and then maybe that right heel comes towards the left buttock. Feel the opening in the hips, but really grounding and turning the shoulders back so they're balanced with each other and parallel. And then walk or swing that right foot forward so it's up between the hands, closer to the right. And then when you feel steady there, the back foot comes down at 45 degrees. I guess I'll turn this way. And then once you feel stable in your foundation, walk the hands up. The front knee is bent. The back leg is straight, and raising arms up into Virabhadrasana 2, opposite side. Check that the back arm and the front arm are both parallel and reaching out. And then we'll add that small flow again. So dropping the back arm down the back leg, arm comes cross ear and looking up at sky, exalted warrior. And then coming forward with your forearm just behind the knee on the front leg, and then back arm rises up across ear, palm facing outward. And then adding a flow here if you wish. Inhaling, exalted warrior. Exhaling, forward. And then one more each way. Pausing here in this back for just a moment. And then bringing hands to either side of the front foot. Bring the front foot back beside the back foot, and then you're in downward dog again. And then we're going to bring pigeon together again. If pigeon is something that's too intense for your hips or your body today, I'm going to invite you to come to your back and move into that shape of 4 with the right ankle across the left thigh. If this is something that feels right for you, I'm going to invite you once again to move the left foot in towards the center and the right leg comes up, bringing the heel towards the left buttock. And then adding circles here, keeping the heel towards the buttock. You're opening up the hip here. Going to do circles here with the knee leading first one way and then changing direction. And then this right foot comes up between the hands, but you're landing on the shin. And then dropping onto the right buttock. And maybe adding a pillow under the right buttock if it doesn't reach the ground. The back leg stretches out backwards to the back of the foot. And you can check that back leg. You want to have it straight out so that it's not coming askew. And then the front leg, you want, once again, knee to hip, you want straight out so there's no strain. If the sits bone, I'll show it from this angle maybe. If the sits bone isn't right on the ground, you want to put a pillow or a block or something under there. So hip to knee straight. And then you're going to take from the knee to the ankle and you're going to find the closer the heel is towards the groin, the less intense it is on the knee and on the hip. So advanced yogis do a right angle. I can't hold that for long, but you can see that they do heel to knee and then knee to hip. They're right angle. Most of us need the heel in a little closer to the groin. So once you get your foundation settled, get your pillow under your hip if needed. Kind of have a sense of wiggling that back leg a little bit more so there's opening in that left hip. Hands are on the ground and you're reaching up. You feel that curve in the lower back and a length in the middle and upper back. Shoulders are dropped. This is upward pigeon. And then you're going to walk your hands forward. Maybe you come onto your elbows, if that's possible. You can rest your head on a pillow or on your fists. Or maybe the head reaches all the way to the ground. Coming into stillness for the next moment or so. One more breath. Downward pigeon, and then slowly rising back upward. And then we're going to move back into downward dog. So bringing weight on your back foot, and then that front foot comes back and you slide back into downward dog. Rocking the heels. And then the right foot comes in toward the center and the left foot comes back up, left heel coming towards right buttock, and then adding those circles, keeping heel and buttock close together. First one way and then changing direction. And then you're going to move the hands forward and slide forward onto your left shin. Drop the back leg so that the back leg is reaching out. And then begin to roll onto the outside of the left hip, maybe adding a pillow or a block if the buttock doesn't reach the ground. And then that hip to knee is straight out from the hip. Back leg, you can look at that. You want that also straight out with the back of the foot pressing down. And then finding just the right distance for the knee to ankle on the left foot, left leg. So the heel might be in close to the groin. You might wiggle it out a little bit, just kind of finding the right distance. And first you're in upward pigeon with hands solidly planted. And then slowly walking hands forward. Maybe coming onto forearms with elbows like Sphinx, or maybe dropping the forehead perhaps to fists, or maybe forehead reaches all the way to ground. And then one more breath here. And then slowly rising up. We're going to stay down here. We're not going to go back into downward dog. We're just going to roll right over, bringing legs into wide angle. Pausing here. Bringing hands in between legs. Flexing feet. And then slowly walking forward. Nose towards the earth. Slowly, slowly walking up. And then rolling over onto your back. Knees to chest. Rocking back and forth, side to side, not back, side to side. We did a lot of hip opening and shoulder opening today. Remembering your mantra, why you're here. If there's a particular intention, and bringing feet down to standing with knees up towards the sky. I'm going to add a little bit of bridge work here. So bringing hands down beside hips, knees, ankles, and hips are all in alignment. Tucking chin, and then flattening back. Pressing down with the heels. And slowly begin to rock your hips back and forth. Beginning to raise the hips gently off the ground, just a little bit at a time. And then if you wish, you can add a slightly more vigorous by lifting the hips and the lower and mid back off and raising the hips up to sky. Or you might prefer to stay low and rocky today with ankles right under knees and knees aligned with hips. And you can invite the whole from the knees all the way up to the top of the ribs off the ground into bridge. Tucking chin. And then maybe this is just right for you, or maybe you want to clasp the hands and bring them underneath the buttocks and maybe roll onto the outside of the shoulders. Of course, in bridge, we never want to turn the head from side to side because of the neck. And then one more breath here. And if you put your shoulders under, bringing them back out, hands are now flat on the ground. And then slowly lowering down. And then rocking here, either little rocks or maybe bigger rocks with hips coming off, but allowing a flow and a movement here. And then widening out the arms into T, shifting the hips to the right, crossing the right leg over the left, back of the right thigh and the top of the left thigh are together. And then dropping legs and hips over to the left, adjusting the shoulder blades, and then looking over the right shoulder. Maybe you want to bring the left hand to the outside of the right knee or thigh. And then slowly coming back to center, shifting to the opposite side. And then slowly coming back to center. And moving into your Shavasana with the legs stretched out and rolled open, the palms reaching up to the sky, and allowing the whole body and mind to come into stillness. Slowly, slowly beginning to wiggle the fingers and the toes. Maybe turning the wrists and the ankles. Mm. Maybe lifting arms up overhead and stretching. See first the right side stretch, stretch, and the left. And then as you're ready, taking your time, turning onto your side before coming up to seated. Bowing first to your own commitment, your own intention, your own rootedness. Any inner guides you have that tune in for you. And then bowing to any spirit or higher power of your choice. And I have a reading for you. It's a poem and it says, "Last night I dreamt that I had a beehive here inside my heart, and the golden bees were making white combs and sweet honey from all my old failures." That's from Antonio Machado. Thank you for joining Crossroads Gentle Yoga.